presidential elections. And here in the Sullivan Arena, we are joined by a live audience of 1,400 people, most invited by the Democratic National Committee, and of course, some of the brightest minds of the student body here. A little later, we'll be joined by news anchor Monica Hernandez and political director Adam Sexton from our partner WMUR with questions that are especially important to the voters here in New Hampshire.
The podium placement is based on an average of the candidates' current standings in recent state and national polls, with the leading candidates in the center. So let's welcome the candidates for the Democratic nomination for president, starting with businessman Tom Steyer.
Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar.
Yo, she's definitely one of the worst. She's absolutely by far one of the worst. Her answers could not. The compilations on her are too funny, where she's just telling the same. I mean, I know I tell the same joke sometimes, but like I try to spread it out to people, you know, and not be televised every time I do it. Oh man, it's hilarious.
Former Vice President Joe Biden.
And then we got Joe joining the stage. Oh my gosh.
Creepy Uncle Joe.
Did you see the video of him petting a dog where he just didn't do it right?
Like, dude,
he stuck his hand in the dog's mouth.
Where are you from? Where did you grow up? That's
acceptable.
Oh, dude.
Just grab a dog by the mouth and shake its head.
Well, hello, it's nice to meet you. Oh, look, here's the robot. I wonder if they charged his batteries all the way up. Look at this guy. Oh, he did not want to shake his hand right there. Did you see how fucking much chagrin there was in his face? Oh, Yang. A little pep in his step. That's what I like to see.
I really like Andrew Yang.
Yo, I'm a Yang guy. $1,000 a month. Let's go, my dude.
We're going to see how much the Yang Gang turns up tonight.
Yes, we will. I'm really excited. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm usually out here in my apartment doing this by myself, drinking beers. Nobody here to listen to my jokes, so let's go. If you guys are enjoying it, you can get in on the conversations yourselves. Call us at 801-585-3449. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Thanks again for coming out here, tuning in. It's your boy Tykes, KC over here to my left, KURadio.org. Let's go.
Welcome, Vice President Biden. The first question is for you. In the last few days, you've been saying that Democrats will be taking too big a risk if they nominate Senator Sanders or Mayor Buttigieg. But they came out on top in Iowa. What risk did the Iowa Democrats miss?
Oh, they didn't miss anything. This is a long race. I took a hit in Iowa, and I'll probably take a hit here. Traditionally, Bernie won by 20 points last time.
I'll probably take a hit here.
Okay, Joe Biden has been doing a very interesting campaign. The entire debate, like the entire season so far, he's been telling other people, like that he's been saying to vote for other people, and now he's just admitting that he's going to take a hit. But no wonder Biden's polling so low. He has no confidence.
What's wrong with this guy? It's like he only wants to go off of his name, and that's it. And like the fact that he was our vice president. Like,
yeah, didn't you know he's friends with Obama? Oh my gosh, he's so cool.
Oh my gosh, why would that be your response? I'm
probably going to take a hit tonight. So you're admitting the other candidates are better than you. No one's going to vote for you if you're just admitting the other candidates are better than you.
Well, guys, I lost the other day, and to be honest, quite frank,
Gonna lose again.
Lose again in a couple of days here, but we're still gonna keep chugging. My heart's still going. I got a pacemaker in there. Nah. All right.
I'm gonna keep wasting my donors' money.
This guy. All right. Let's see what he has to say.
But I'm no matter what, I'm still in this for the same reason. We have to restore the soul of this country, bring back the middle class, and make sure we bring people together. And so it's a simple proposition. It doesn't matter whether it's this one or the next. I've always viewed the first 4 encounters, 2 primaries and 2 caucuses, as the starting point. And so that's how I view it.
But why are Senator Sanders and Mayor Buttigieg too big a risk for Democrats?
Well, you know that with regard to Senator Sanders, the president wants very much to stick a label on every candidate. We're going to not only have to win this time, we have to bring along the United States Senate. And Bernie's labeled himself, not me, a Democratic socialist. I think that's the label that the president's going to lay on everyone running with Bernie. If he's a nominee. And Mayor Buttigieg is a great guy and a real patriot. He's a mayor of a small city who has done.
Bernie's a socialist and Pete's a great guy.
That's what we're hearing.
This guy, Joe Biden, talks like I do after I just took a big old fucking bong rip to the face.
Well, I just don't...
Forgetting what he's saying halfway through the sentence and shit.
I just don't understand why his campaign is just, let me prop up other candidates. Let's say how great other candidates are. If someone says they disagree with him on a policy thing, instead of saying, hey, let's discuss it, let me show you why I'm right, he says, go vote for someone else then. This is like his campaign is just making other candidates look better. So if maybe that's the DNC strategy. Maybe the Democrats are like, let's just have the vice president come and say how great another candidate is. Maybe that's their strategy this election, but... We'll see.
I hope Biden gives him a hand job.
He might as well at this point.
Oh, boy.
Some good things, but has not demonstrated he has the ability to, and we'll soon find out, to get a broad scope of support across the spectrum, including African Americans and Latinos.
Senators, let me give you the chance to respond first. President Trump certainly thinks this label socialism will work. At the State of the Union, he said socialism destroys nations. He's never going to let socialism destroy American health care. And before the Super Bowl, he joked with Sean Hannity about your honeymoon in Moscow. Those hits are going to keep coming if you're the nominee. Why shouldn't Democrats be worried?
Dude, look at Trump's wife. Look at his fucking wife. My God.
Of course, Donald Trump lies all the time. Doesn't matter what Donald Trump says. It's a sad state of affairs. It really is. People say terrible things about Joe. He has ugly, disgusting things about Elizabeth, about Amy, about anybody else who is up here. But I think, George, that at the end of the day, the way we defeat Donald Trump, and everybody up here, by the way, is united. No matter who wins this damn thing, we're all going to stand together to defeat Donald Trump. I believe that the way we beat Trump is by having the largest voter turnout in the history of this country. And that is appealing to working class people who have given up on the political process because they don't believe that anybody is hearing their pain, perceiving their pain, feeling their pain. And we got to bring young people into the political process. I'm very proud that in Iowa, we won the popular vote by 6,000 votes. What was most significant is we increased voter turnout for young people under 29 by over 30%. We do that nationally.
This is exactly what
we're going to defeat Donald Trump.
Let me follow up
to show why he's a better
candidate.
than
Back
Pete.
in Iowa, the turnout this year was about the same as it was in 2016, far below what it was in 2008 when President Obama won.
That's true, and that's a disappointment, and I think all of us probably could have done a better job in bringing out our supporters. But if there is a good spot, a good aspect about that campaign is that young people came out in higher numbers than they did during Obama's historic 2008 campaign. And if that happens nationally, we're going to win and defeat Trump.
Before I move on to Mayor Buttigieg,
He's right.
let me just ask, is anyone else on the stage
Republican
concerned
voters.
about
They can
having a
only get
Democratic
new
socialist at the
Democrats.
top of the Democratic ticket?
Yeah, that's interesting for sure.
Republicans are holding with Trump. That's what we saw with impeachment this week. The only person who broke party lines was Mitt Romney, and Mitt Romney didn't have anything to lose.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting take on that. I'm very curious about what's going to be happening in the future, man. I wish I could put my head in the redneck's shoes, the redneck's Wrangler jeans. Oh, we got Yang Gang.
I'm not.
Senator Klobuchar?
Bernie and I work together all the time, but I think we are not going to be able to outdivide the divider-in-chief. And I think we need someone to head up this ticket that actually brings people with her instead of shutting them out. And when I look at a state like New Hampshire that had a very, very close election last time in 2016, I see a state that, yes, has a high voter turnout, fired up Democrats, just like my state, which, by the way, Bernie, when I led the ticket, had the highest voter turnout of any state in the country. But I add to that being able to bring in independents like you have in this state, as well as moderate Republicans, because there are so many of them out there that are looking for a candidate. And truthfully, Donald Trump's worst nightmare is a candidate that will bring people in from the middle, the people that are tired of the noise and the nonsense, and they are tired of the tweets and the mean stuff, and they are looking for someone else. And I would submit...
Oh, and that's the worst.
The
is when
mean stuff.
I hope to fuck she doesn't utter the words Bernie bro at one point tonight.
If Bernie Bros is,
don't do it.
it's so
do
frustrating.
it.
I just think you can't campaign on, oh, Donald Trump's a mean guy, because Donald Trump was a mean guy in 2016 and he still got in the Oval Office. So if your only campaign is that, well, he's a mean guy and I'm going to expose him for it, that's your campaign, then you can't win against him, because Hillary Clinton couldn't win on that in 2016.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, as a young person, I don't speak for all of us with this, I know that, but we don't give a fuck about mean shit, yo. Like,
okay,
here's
the reason I dislike Donald Trump is because he's screwing over the environment, because he's
Yeah.
screwing over the economy in ways that like directly affect me.
That's
right?
like such a red herring right there. Oh, mean things. Okay, actually, I enjoy confrontation more than fucking being a little, having
like,
shit.
do I think that he always acts appropriately for the office he's in? No.
Right.
Do I think that matters? No. Because at the end of the day, policy decisions are what matters. If all that you have is, oh, this guy's mean and I'm not mean,
Yeah.
then you're not a valid candidate.
Mean, like, come on. Let's talk about how fucking disgusting the corruption is in the White House right now. This guy makes so much money with these hotels. He's got the government's credit card, sending these guys out to his hotels all over the place, hosting meetings at his hotels. I mean, there's a lot worse things out here than just a little bit of Twitter language, a little bit of quote unquote being mean stuff.
Yeah.
Come on. We're
You know
we're
what?
not
Donald
2
Trump
years
has
old.
said mean things to Elizabeth Warren. She's not out here saying, oh, he's mean, so I'm better. She's out here saying what he says is false, and I'm going to be a better candidate than him because I support things like Medicare for All and taking action on climate change. Establishment candidates always just talk about how mean Republicans are and how like unempathetic they are. And people don't care.
Yeah.
People care whether or not those policies are going to affect their lives.
And this chick Klobuchar just can't. She can't stray away from just like the go-to talking points. It's like talking point 101, the first page of talking points. Donald Trump is mean.
Yeah.
Like delve.
They're
that
bigger problems.
Yeah, delve deeper.
Is me.
Delve deeper.
Mr. Steyer, is socialism a problem?
I don't think there's any question, George, that after this week, there's a real threat that Donald Trump can get reelected.
Oh, okay.
And I don't
yes.
think there's any question
Thank you,
but
Mr.
that the
Nobody.
only way that we're going to beat him actually is the way that Bernie Sanders said, which is to get turnout across the spectrum of Democratic voters. And that means we're going to have to appeal across the spectrum, moderates, progressives, and every group. So unless you can appeal to the diverse parts of the Democratic Party, including specifically the black community, including specifically Latinos, if you can't do that, then we can't beat Donald Trump in November, and we can't choose a candidate who can't do that. And I am doing that right now with 24% of blacks down in South Carolina, with high numbers in Nevada. That's what it's going to take, is turnout, but turnout across the spectrum of Democratic voters, someone who can pull, as Amy said, everything together in every single way we're divided.
Andrew?
Okay, I feel you, bud, but good luck.
'Kay.
Yeah.
And like when he says that,
Dream
I
on.
understand the point. Because living in like a country with weak parties, but a lot of partisanship is hard. And like even the Democratic Party doesn't know what they want. But that's exactly the problem, is you can say, oh, I'm a middle ground Democrat, but that's not making anyone happy, because then you have people who are moderate Democrats who want to kind of maintain the status quo, and they're not happy because you get a candidate who's more left than them. And then if you take the super left part of the party, they're also not happy, but they're even less happy because they just want things like free healthcare. You can say you're a middle ground candidate for the Democratic Party, but I'm not sure if that can even be successful. I think you need something that like counteract, because like
Yeah, I
Trump's
agree
not a
with you.
middle ground Republican.
I agree with you. There's just certain like, okay, so this is kind of silly, but for me, Americans are pretty stupid on the whole. You give us a fucking iPhone, some funny memes, some microwave food, and we'll keep ourselves entertained. We'd be pretty happy. All you got to do is give the people enough to do that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And these are the things that these universal type issues that can be remedied, like stuff like Yang is talking about. Yang's universal basic income is just kind of a roundabout for a
It's just to
minimum
help
basic
fix
wage or
some
whatever.
of the issues we have with distribution of wealth.
Right. So
It's
instead
like
of doing
one
the
solution to
minimum
that
wage,
problem.
right? Instead of making minimum wage $15 an hour, you give them $1,000 of spending money a month, and those are the types of things that you can get people to come out to the booths and vote for. Just the fact that Yang's still standing there is testament to that. He's got those bumper sticker guys. For
Yang
show.
gang.
Yang gang.
Senator Yang, then Senator Warren, then Mayor Buttigieg.
First, let me say, America, it's great to be back on the debate stage. Thank you. I'm so excited, I want to give every American $1,000 a month. George, the entire capitalism-socialism dichotomy is completely out of date. And the fact is, when people were talking about these economic models, they did not foresee technology getting stronger, more powerful, capable of doing the work of thousands of humans in the blink of an eye. We have record-high corporate profits in this country right now, but people in New Hampshire know what else are at record highs. Mental illness, stress, debt, substance abuse, overdoses, suicides. What we have to do is actually get the markets working to improve our family's way of life. Instead of following GDP and corporate profits off a cliff, we should be measuring our own health and wellness, life expectancy, mental health and freedom from substance abuse, clean air and clean water, how our kids are doing. The way forward is a new human-centered version of capitalism that actually uses the markets to improve our families' lives.
Senator Warren, you reportedly said back in 2018, I'm a capitalist to my bones. Senator Sanders says, I'm not. Is that your biggest difference with Senator Sanders?
Oh, Bernie and I have been friends for a long time. We have a lot of things in common, and we have a lot of things that we differ on. But this fundamental question about how we bring our party together, we have to think about it in new ways. People across this country, whether they're Democrats, Independents, or Republicans, understand that we've got a government right now that works great for those at the top. Works great for giant drug companies, just not for people trying to get a prescription filled. Works great for oil companies that want to drill everywhere, just not for the rest of us who see climate change bearing down upon us. When you see a government that works great for those who can hire armies of lobbyists and lawyers and make big campaign donations, and it's not working so great for everyone else, that is corruption, pure and simple, and we need to call it out for what it is. Corruption. Okay, and that's what we can run on. We bring our party together. It's an issue we can
talk about the fact that Citizens United exists. Because that's the reason,
I really hate the empty, just platitude type shit that they always talk about.
They always start with it.
Yeah.
I think Yang did a good job of bringing out specific policies like UBI. Right off the bat, he brought that in there. I think pretty much every candidate on the stage can stand there and say they don't like corruption, and every candidate can stand on the stage and say we have a problem with our healthcare system and that climate change exists. But that's the Democratic Party's platform. You have to make yourself stand out more than that. I think that question, if it had been given to Bernie instead of Warren, if it had been how are you different from Warren, I think he could have used that to really help his campaign. I think where Warren got the question, she didn't make them sound like they were different candidates, which I think is actually to her benefit, but just interesting.
Probably is. The longer she can go
with everyone thinking she's Bernie but a girl, the more votes she'll get.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better
myself. We'll agree on and fight to end the corruption. We're the Democrats. We should be the party on the side of hardworking people. And we can bring in independents and Republicans on that. They hate the corruption as well. My anti-corruption plan, good for Republicans and Democrats. That's not only how we bring our party together, that's how we're going to win in November.
Mayor Buttigieg, early in the campaign, you said that the word socialism has lost its power. It's mostly lost its meaning. Do you believe that, or worry it could be a potent weapon in a general election?
Oh, God, I can't wait for this.
Interested in the labels. I'm not interested in what Republicans are going to say. I'm interested in the...
You're not interested in what Republicans are going to say. I think my biggest issue going into 2020, and the reason that I'm so frustrated with the Democratic Party, is that they say things like this all the time. I don't care what Republicans have to say. I don't need to talk to Republicans.
I'm sure they love that.
Well, I think like all they're doing is they're taking people who already feel alienated by the system, who voted for a candidate like Trump because he was outside of the system, at least so they thought, right? They're voting for this anti-establishment candidate because they don't like the system and they think it's not hearing them and they think it's not listening to them. So to say we're going to take half the country who supports this guy and we're just not going to listen to them because they're a Republican or because they, like, you know, they're mean or something, you're denying that half the country has a valid point of view, which isn't going to help you win any votes.
Yeah, what happened to Mr. Centrist Mayor Booty Care?
Well, it's just like he's sitting here saying everyone on this debate stage is going to say we need someone who can unite the country. Okay, then show that you're willing to talk to them. Don't say I'm not going to talk to Republicans because then you don't care about uniting the country.
Jesus, yeah, this guy he's literally a walking, talking bullshit machine. I saw a picture of him today. He was like dodging some reporters' questions in his natural habitat, and it looked like he had like a dent in his head. Like some kind of like robot type thing. Like it was weird. It's like he had literally either fallen asleep like on some kind of circular like I don't fucking know, circular shelf. But yeah, it looked like yeah, it was weird, man. It's like he fell down the stairs and the little like cyber cranium that he has dented. Let's see if there's any glitches tonight.
Style of politics that we need to put forward to actually, finally turn the page. In order to win, yes, but also in order to govern. This is a moment where the next president is going to face challenges the likes of which we hadn't even thought of a few years or decades ago. And politically, we're facing a...
Like people owning an app and
using it to win elections.
And using it to win an election.
What would that be like, Pete? What would that be like?
Yeah, so crazy, they wouldn't even fucking think about it. You're an asshole.
Fundamentally new problem with President Donald Trump. So the biggest risk we could take at a time like this would be to go up against that fundamentally new challenge by trying to fall back on the familiar or trying to unite this country at a moment when we need that kind of unification, when our nominee is dividing people with a politics that says if you don't go all the way to the edge, it doesn't count. A politics that says it's my way or the highway.
Are you talking about Senator Sanders?
Yes.
Yeah,
I was about to say he's subtweeting Bernie really hard. I'm glad the moderator called him out and was like, "You're talking about Bernie."
He tried to do this last time too.
Don't subtweet other candidates, just speak your problem to them.
He tried to do this last time as well, and it's fucking disgusting. The guy is literally like, come at me, bro. You're a kid who never had to deal with a playground interaction, a playground confrontation. This guy never had to deal with one of those. He just went and cried to the principal.
Because we've got to bring as many people as we can into this process. Look, all of us have been saying that we can build the majority that it's going to take in order to win. But the process of actually proving it is now underway. And now it comes to New Hampshire, a state that thinks for itself, is not going to be told what to do by anyone, and that has a very independent streak, that is going to respond to those who are reaching out in a politics of addition and inclusion and belonging. Not one that beats people over the head and says they shouldn't even be on our side if we don't agree 100% of the time.
Senator Sanders, your response.
Needless to say, I've never said that, but let me tell you what I do say. The way you bring people together is by presenting an agenda that works for the working people of this country, not for the billionaire class. The way you bring people together, Republicans, independents, Democrats, progressives, conservatives, you raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. The way you bring people together is to make it clear that we're not going to give tax breaks to billionaires and large corporations. They're going to start paying their fair share of taxes. That's what the American people want. And I'll tell you something else. The way you bring people together is by ending the international disgrace of this country being the only major nation on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. And you bring people together by telling the pharmaceutical industry they're not going to charge us 10 times more for the same prescription drugs as the people in Canada that borders on New Hampshire. That's how you bring people together and you defeat Donald Trump.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how he responds to this kind of slimy shit he's about to talk. You know, how do you come back at something like that?
How do you come
man?
back at Bernie when he's speaking the truth?
Oh, hey, it's like Bernie's your little grandpa comes through, grandma comes through with the fucking little strawberry candies. You know, it's like, come on, man. How are you going to say that he's a bad guy? Come on, he's got the little strawberry
Because
candies.
he's a socialist.
Dude.
They're just going to
What
call him
the
a
hell?
socialist.
He's got to be, man. Let's go. I can't wait for this. This is getting crazy, man. I need to drink a little bit more of my beer, man. I'm slacking.
Buttigieg, you just heard Senator Sanders make health care the center of his speech. Do you think his health care plan can bring people together?
I think there's a better way. You know, it's true. The American people are ready. There's a historic majority right now. Even broader than what was available to President Obama a decade ago, there is now a majority ready to act to make sure there is no such thing as an uninsured American and no such thing as an unaffordable prescription, just so long as we don't command people to accept a public plan if they don't want to. That's the idea of Medicare for all who want it. My point is, what I am offering is campaigning for all of these things that America wants. Yes, higher wages, doubling the rate of unionization in this country, making corporations and the wealthy pay their fair share, delivering health care and college affordability, but also offering a way to do these game-changing transformations that will actually galvanize and energize, not polarize, the American people. That is not.
But the American people are polarized, so they are.
And that is to make it harder to get. That's the way we're gonna make it happen, is by making it harder for people. That's great. This guy's a jackass. Let me tell you real quick. He totally missed the point on the healthcare question.
Yeah.
It's not.
Why didn't he say it is a tragedy that Americans are dying in the street, that 30,000 Americans die a year because they can't afford basic health care? Why didn't he say this is a problem? And then he mentioned his Medicare for all, but with choice, right?
Plus
okay.
Bullshit.
So explain that plan to us. That's the one thing that you don't see in these debates, at least for the first half, and usually not through any of it, is candidates saying specifically, this is what I believe. And that's what the American public needs to see, because there's so many people who are uneducated. If they're tuning into the debate, they don't care that you support Medicare for all or that you want better health care, because every Democrat wants better health care. I want Pete to show me why he's a better candidate than Bernie.
Yeah, and address talk at least a little bit about, try to be a little bit, think about what kind of causes cause these types of things, and factor that into what your plan is going to be. So he wants to, let's try to not, let's dial this whole Medicare for all thing back a little bit, and what we're going to do is we're going to do Medicare Plus. Well, let me tell you a problem, bro. The problem is the mafia insurance company, middleman insurance companies.
Yeah, insurance companies are going to lobby against that.
And they inflate, and they're the ones that artificially inflate these, all of these medical supplies and medical bills to exorbitant amounts that a normal person wouldn't be able to take care of. But because there's this weird mafia that has this very interesting business plan, to be honest with you. Insurance is kind of weird when you start to think about it. In that way, but basically, so my girlfriend went into the emergency room at one point because she was really, really sick and needed to be pumped with saline because she was, just super low on electrolytes. And so this was at a very hard time in her family's life. Her parents were splitting up. Her dad was going blind in the hospital, and a lot of stuff was happening, and he lost his job, and he lost because he went blind, and he lost his medical insurance. And so when she went into the hospital, she thought that she had medical insurance, but she didn't. And so she went and got treated. They pumped her full of saline. They did a test for strep, which came back negative. And even though we told them that it wasn't strep, we told them it had already been tested and that it wasn't strep. Well, they wanted to do that anyways because they got the wallet. They're like, oh, why not? We can, let's try it. Might as well not rule it out. And she ended up getting charged that day like $800. And you know what was on the fucking bill? That test and saline solution. Okay? $750 for that test and saline solution, that is a goddamn crime. That is a crime to humanity. Salt water. We're talking about fucking salt water and a test that we told the doctor he didn't need to do and did himself and did anyways. If that isn't fucking garbage, and so that's what I'm talking about with Pete, is like he needs to really start getting to the bottom of these solutions and not saying all of this crap.
Don't be the same candidate as everyone else on stage.
Honestly, like, dude.
Yeah. Like, if you don't have a Medicare for All plan, then own that. Explain why you don't. Like, I understand that, like, he just said Medicare for All is getting more popular, right? So, like, not having it as, like, a Democratic candidate seems a little bit like you're not caught up with the times. But if you think that your platform is the best platform, then stand up and explain what your platform is and explain to me why it's the best.
Yeah. Like, I know that you have about 2 minutes, and it's tough. That's a problem with the formatting of the debate. But they have 2 minutes to respond, and he's got to go to some kind of like cop-out answer like that, where it's going to sound good to people who aren't really able to read between the lines a whole lot. But, you know, like I said, there's a big problem with your plan, man, and that is the fact that those insurance companies are the ones driving up those prices to insane amounts. We're talking hundreds of dollars for salt water. That is crap. That is total crap. And if there weren't that mafia middleman, it wouldn't be like that. If there was real people that had to pay for that kind of stuff, it literally wouldn't. I guarantee it doesn't cost that much to make saline. And they made a big old war cry about that Martin Shkreli guy. But then, you know, a lot of other stuff goes on behind the scenes. Do you have anything else to add?
Not really.
Yeah,
I'm just frustrated that he
going.
won't give specific policy answers.
Yeah, it's insane. Okay, let's.
Not only what we need in order to win,
guy's insane.
it's what we need in order to govern and actually get these things done.
Vice President Biden, how do you unify the country?
Well, look, Bernie says that you have to bring people together, and we have to have Medicare for all. But Bernie says, and he says he wrote the damn thing, but he's unwilling to tell us what the damn thing's going to cost. The fact that we're in New Hampshire, a very level-headed group of people, look at the numbers. How much is it going to cost? Who's going to pay for it?
Joe
It will
Biden's
cost
whole